Hi, I'm Pat Horn from the Lakeshore Museum Center. I'm here today to talk about a program called Invention Convention. So Invention Convention is a statewide, national, and international competition. And here what we're doing is we are running a regional competition which will take place in the end of February or early March of this year that is going to help students qualify for the state level competition, which will be at the Henry Ford Museum over on the east side of the state. So what exactly is Invention Convention? So it's a program that's designed for students or children in 3rd through 12th grade, and it is a process that guides you through the inventing process. So they will learn about things like having to do research on a project. So how much would it cost to create it? How much do they think consumers would pay for it? They're going to have to look at things like patents for similar items. Is this something that's already been created that these students may need to retool or talk about why there's a better and upgraded version of that product? It's also going to guide students through the inventing process, all the steps that you have to take to create an invention and some of the thinking that's involved with that. So one of the really neat things is that the Henry Ford Museum, they looked through their collection. They looked at a lot of the great inventions they have, things made by Thomas Edison and Henry Ford. And they kind of found some similar things that these inventors had in common. They're sharing that information with all the students through a free curriculum that is available that you can sign up for. And using that curriculum, it can help guide your thinking and help guiding through the process and help work through Invention Convention so your students can be a part of this. Now, it doesn't have to be students in a classroom. So if you're a classroom teacher watching this and you want to do this with your class or your grade level, we'd love to have a whole grade level or a whole class. But if you are doing something like an after-school program or maybe like a Boys or Girls Club or a Boy or Girl Scout troop, this is something you can also do with them. If you're just a parent, you think your child would be really interested in this and you can't find a local group to join, you can do this just with your child on an individual one-to-one level. All it really requires is that there is an adult mentor that's going to help this student out. They'll go through a short training video with the Henry Ford Museum, and then they'll just need to sign up for our regional competition here to be entered into that. And so what the students will need to create for Invention Convention is they're going to need to make a prototype. Now, it doesn't have to be a working prototype. It can be made out of cardboard. They don't have to 3D print it or weld together metal pieces to make something that's actually physically going to work. You just need something that you can show that you can talk about, well, if this was real, this would turn here and this would push this lever, something like that, to explain how their invention would work and what materials they would use it out of in an ideal situation. They're also going to create, like I mentioned earlier, the display board that talks about their invention and tries to sell it to the public. They're also going to need to create a pitch video, which we'll show you an example of at the end here, where they're explaining the process they went through and they're explaining their product and why they think their invention is worthwhile. And at this regional competition, what will happen is students will be judged. Now, they can be individual students. They can be up to groups of 4 students that are creating an invention. And they're going to be judged all together at once. So individuals are versus groups, and grade levels will be separated out into smaller bands, like elementary, middle school, and high school brackets. And the judges will come to these groups and they're going to ask them questions about their invention. They're going to ask them questions about the steps they went through to get to their final prototype, what they learned about it, what they tried that didn't work, what did work, and why they think this product is going to be useful. And after the competition, the products will be judged based on their answers, based on their prototypes, based on their pitch videos and their displays. And winners will be chosen to advance on to the state competition then at the Henry Ford Museum. And so from the state competition then, they'll go through that same process just at a much higher level. And the really neat thing is these judges are going to be local people and businesses. There might be other inventors that are judging these inventions, and they might make connections. Some of these students I know from the state and national levels got to go on things like late night talk shows and talk about their inventions. Others have had theirs patented already. I think there's one student last year that discovered something that NASA is using currently right now to look at the stars. So there's really, really great possibilities with this program. Now, those students who are who create an invention great enough and have a great process and explain it well can go on to the national competition. There's things like scholarships available, there's patents, there's work with patent lawyers, and then there's also an international competition for the best of the best. And there's some really great prizes available for that as well. So as I mentioned, we're really focusing here on the regional competition. So we're trying to get together students to participate in this regional competition to then qualify for that state competition. Now, if you have any further questions or you'd like to sign up yourself, your child or your students, feel free to reach out to us and contact us. We'll post our information in the bottom of this video for you to get a hold of us and learn more about Invention Convention and what it can offer for you. So as I mentioned earlier, we're going to toss it now to our pitch video done by Jennifer here to give you an example of kind of what the process looks like when you're all done at the end of it.
Hi, my name is Jennifer, and my invention is a race car adapter. So I decided to build this invention when I noticed a problem on a Hot Wheels racetrack, which is if you have a bigger vehicle, like this truck, it doesn't fit on the track, so you can't race it. So a smaller car, the wheels are closer together than on the truck, so it fits on the track. So I wanted to come up with an invention that would allow the bigger car to fit on the racetrack. So what I did is I went to the Legos, because Legos have all sorts of different wheel, axles, and different lengths, and I thought that that might be a good starting point to find a close match for a adapter. And I found out that the smallest Lego wheel axle is the right size, and it matches what a Hot Wheels car has. So the first step I did is I took just the axle and I tested it on the track and saw that it did fit. So then I built just the flat kind of bed of our adapter, and then I thought that I wanted to stop the truck from rolling forward or back, so I bumped up the front and back of it, and then I wondered what if it might fall off the sides. So I built little bumpers on the side. So now the truck fits right on the adapter, and it can't go forward or side to side. And this way, you can set it right on the track, and it can race with the other cars. So my prototype is made out of Legos, but if I was going to make this invention for real, I think I would use a 3D printed item that had the connector space for these Lego wheel axles, because I know that those are the perfect size. So I would want to keep this piece from the Legos and 3D print the rest of it. I think another thing you could do is you could make different sizes. So it fits this truck, but it might not fit all of them. So making these sides at different heights, or making the sides wider so that they could fit a bigger vehicle, would be something that you could change in the future to make this invention even better. So my poster board goes through my problem solving of how I found this problem and how I figured out the solution and what problems I had in the start, like when I first sent it down the racetrack and the car flew off the front, so that's how I knew I had to add that front bumper. And also testing and realizing that Legos aren't a good permanent use because they break. So when it hits the bottom of the track, a lot of times these separate pieces will kind of fly off of the adapter. So that's why I wouldn't use Legos in the final product, but for a prototype, they were a great thing to use. So that is my Lego race car adapter.